Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've posted a video. It's been like 4 weeks and I've just been incredibly busy and it was hard to create time for a YouTube video. But that is changing as of today. Today I'm picking up again, and from now on you can expect weekly videos again. And starting with today, we're going to look at the Rule 1 fund, which is a fund created by Phil Town. It's a small fund. I think it has about $66 million under management. So it's relatively small, and I think that is why it is interesting to look at. So who's Phil Town? Well, it's basically this guy, and this guy has written two books himself. First one is Rule Number 1, and the second one is Payback Time. I really enjoyed Rule Number 1. I highly recommend that one if you are not familiar with the financials of a company and you just want to start investing. Payback Time is also a great read. I personally, Rule Number 1 had more value to me. He also wrote or co-wrote a book with his daughter, which was called Invested. And yeah, I haven't entirely read this one, but I do I've listened to many of their podcasts. They have a podcast on at least Spotify that I know of, and yeah, they do a podcast together, and it's actually a lot of fun to listen to. At least for a few. Once you become a more experienced investor, it may be a little bit repetitive, but regardless, it is quite entertaining. So let's dive into the fund. As always, please keep in mind that I am not a financial advisor. The content on this channel and on my website is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. First off, we need to realize, okay, what is this fund based off? All right. So, what is Rule 1? What did Phil Town mean with Rule 1 and what did he wrote in his book? So, I think there's two key things to take from the book. Number one is the 4M's. 4M's stand for meaning. Does the company have meaning for you or any meaning to you? Moat. Does the company have a moat? Management. How is the management? And is management capable, honest, stuff like that. And finally, MOS, which stands for margin of safety, like buy the company at a reasonable price. Second point is the 5 numbers. Phil Town really cares about return on invested capital, as do I, for reasons I have told in previous videos. But besides that number, he looks at growth rates of 4 key points, which is revenue, earnings, and he mentions earnings per share, but I personally prefer earnings, equity, and cash flow. So what does he think about these numbers? Return on invested capital, he wants it to be at least above 10%. And the other 4, he wants a growth rate of at least 15% over compounded annual growth rate over 10 years. So the past 10 years, he wants that number. So knowing that, it's going to be fun to look at his portfolio, because on one hand, we are going to see, does he stick to his own rules once we dive deeper into the financials? And secondly, it's just going to be, okay, if he diverts from it, in what way will the 4M's take hold or mean more to him in that regard? So it's going to be quite interesting, but for now, let's have a look at the actual portfolio. The portfolio right now, I've made it like this because in this picture I want to focus on two key points: his cash position and his money market funds position. So you can basically see the money market fund as a cash position. It's something that in the near future he will get back as cash, and he'll get a small interest rate on that. So a little bit of benefits from him, and cash obviously is just losing value. Looking at this portfolio, you see that 66% is basically cash, so 2/3 of his portfolio is still in cash. And then you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 companies that he owns. And keep in mind that he does have 2/3 of his total fund in cash or money market funds. But to make it easier, I'm just going to focus on the stocks right now in the next picture so that we can just see which stocks that he owns. So what's the plan? This is his entire portfolio when it comes to stocks. What I will do in the next 10 companies, 10 videos, I will go through each company and I will look at the financials and I will see in what way these companies look interesting. Why do I do that? Because, as I said before, this is a fund with 66 million in holding, which means it is really on the smaller end of funds. Like it's not like a several $billion fund. So these are companies that could very well be smaller, and if there's a small cap in there or a mid cap, it could actually be very interesting to us. So a few things that I want to point out here is that if you look at the bottom, you see Berkshire Hathaway, Goldman Sachs, and Bank OZK. These are basically like Berkshire Hathaway is obviously a lot of companies, but it tends to be a little bit focused around financials, and the other two are financials as well. So he's heavily invested in financial companies, which is kind of interesting. I had a look at Bank OZK before, and I actually really like that bank with its growth rates and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to look at that one. And other than that, you have Southwest Airlines, which obviously is a questionable investment during these times of outbreak and stuff like that. And secondly, the Boeing, which obviously has been, I think it's been well aware among YouTubers and investors and stuff like that, that how this company has dropped and it's been on the radars of many people, and he actually invested in it. So it's going to be interesting to look at that. And the other companies may be a little bit more unknown, but all the more reason to dive deeper into that one, I'd say. And one little note is the Sturm Ruger & Co. Incorporation. Is the orange part. This is this one. And why I mention this one, this is a gun company. And as you just said, one of the 4 M's was meaning. And the fact that he picked this one, like it's going to be interesting to look at the 4 M's with this company. So stay tuned for that one. But this is his portfolio. So this is about $22 million, and that is divided over these companies. So relatively small investments, could be small companies, and yeah, in the next few videos we will see if these companies are actually a nice investments. And if they're not a nice investments right now, it is likely that they have growth numbers that are appealing to us for investors. So perhaps these companies could be added to our watch list when they have already increased a lot and we think, no, they're not that undervalued anymore. All those things could happen, so it's going to be important to look at the financials of these companies. 2 things that I want to point out is what you guys can expect from the next few videos is we're going to look at the financials of these companies. So I'm going to be screening them. I'm going to be looking at the balance sheet, the income statement, the cash flow statement, and you're going to see the numbers live, and you will hear my opinion of it. And I think the second part is probably the most interesting part, is we're going to check if Phil Town follows his own rules. So does he stick to his 4 M's, which is going to be a harder part to screen, but like in an initial part we can say, okay, does this have a moat? Return on invested capital, for example, can already tell if some company has a moat. But the financial part, the return on invested capital must be above 10% and the growth rate must be above 15%. Well, those numbers, we can actually just check that on the financial statements. If he diverges from that, it's going to be interesting to see why he would do that, or maybe we can make an assumption on why he would do that. So that is basically what we're going to do with the channel for the next few videos. I have the ambition to upload one at least one a week. I'm going to try to keep the video shorter because I know you guys have given me feedback on that and it tend to be very long, so I'm going to keep this one short as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you like what's coming. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. And for now, I wish you guys a great evening.